So, the big news that I want to talk to you about today, that the video tonight is going to cover, is something you probably heard about. That Blizzard is going to kill off some of the most iconic combat add-ons that it has, that have been with the game for years and years and years, by consuming them, by absorbing them. Yep. This is the news. Blizzard's making a huge World of Warcraft change. Combat add-ons will be eliminated. This is absolutely so crazy. I did listen to the entire interview with Max and Dratnos and Ian, and they are going to... I think they really have their heads in the right place about this overall. New features coming to replace some of their functions in support for the MMO's most popular mods. So yeah, big discussion I'm going to release on my WoW channel about this tonight. With baking in a lot of this functionality with these add-ons, like they said, damage meters, they want to bake in that, DBM stuff. I think it could change WoW for the better. I think it would. I like Ian's mind on this, which is make it so players don't feel like they have to have an add-on to play the game. And I also think that because Ian repeated that several times in the interview, it really gave me the impression that they want to make add-ons no longer seen as mandatory for console support. That's my tinfoil hat theory. Because now that Microsoft owns Blizzard, it definitely seems like they would want to put the WoW sub on the Game Pass. And they can't do that until it feels like it's totally viable to play the game without add-ons. Without add-ons being necessary. Like having damage meter in the game. Having DBM in the game. That's my tinfoil hat theory. That's what I think. But that's just a guess. And even if that's not the case, I still think that it's really good changes because you shouldn't feel like you need third-party tools to play the damn game. But yeah, that video is going to drop tonight, and today I just want to talk a lot with y'all about how you think this could affect the game. Like, how it's good for the accessibility, how, you know, is this actually solving a problem with the rotations? Like, are rotations too complicated? And because that's something that I usually see when people complain about Heckly. They'll say that rotations are too complicated and that's why people go to download these kinds of things. But I don't necessarily think that is the case. Like obviously add-ons do serve a need and people do use them for a reason, which I think Heckly has like 56 million downloads or something insane like that on Curse. Yeah. You said my concern is how many systems they're adding to the game that's end up gonna compound bugs and stability. Very good point. That's true. That's true. But I mean, still, like, for the sake of the game, they have to ask themselves this question of why do people feel like they need these tools? Is it just that the rotations are too complicated? To the question, are the rotations too complicated? I think the answer is yes, but also no. Because, like, they're not complicated in the end, especially if you're coming from FF14. Like, it's not rocket science, but if you didn't play in a long time, things can be very unfamiliar. Like your class or your spec can be totally button recognizable, and it can be overwhelming if you're new. It's like hard to get into it a lot of times. Make the rotation overly complex. Make rotation helper. Solving problem. You literally create yourself. Yeah, I hope that they can. Oh man, I saw a meme the other day. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it. You just have to imagine it. It's a flex tape meme where the big vat of water is complex rotation, overly bloated rotation. and the flex tape is the one button mode. And I mean, yeah, that's something that you need to be able to have a good on-ramp to it without, I guess so people will be intrigued and they'll want to learn about it. You know, learning your spec shouldn't be like trying to poke a straw into a Capri Sun. You know what I'm saying? Shit. I wrote, actually that's a good example. In the interview, Ian brought up Outlaw, which I think is, even Ian was like, this is Outlaw, it was a pretty easy spec to pick on. And it is, because it's like, oh my god. There's like all these conditional buffs you have to think about. You have to think about how many seconds are left on all these different buffs. You have to think about how many combo points you have in terms of the thresholds, and then combine that conditional information with like layers upon layers of the buffs. And you got to figure out what finisher overrides what other finisher priority. Is so annoying. I hate it. I hate it. And Ian, he was like, well, I mean, Outlaw is why specs like that are why people turn to these kinds of tools. And he said that they need to have better, what's the word? Oh, I remember, affordance. Affordance, he said. It's like, how does the game show you what to do? Kind of like a show don't tell principle, but in terms of your rotation, like information you're being communicated by the game. That's why so much of this is actually kind of, it almost feels like storytelling. Like, what's the story the game is telling you, and how do you get a person to care about the story that the game is telling you? By show don't tell. And I think that's what is kind of at the core of a lot of this discussion. But yeah, I said, thinking back to FF14, that's the thing I think FF14 does pretty well, is job gauges. You know, it's much better communication to you about what things you need to track. And I wonder if that's also factored into their philosophy here about affordance. But I do know that, actually, I think they are kind of working on that, because we just got the cooldown manager. You know, the weak aura type thingy. That's something that can, these job gauge ideas can work alongside the rotation assist. Maybe they could also have like job guides. What do you think about that idea? Like having job guides in the game, almost like adventure guides? Give people kind of a gentle concept of what's most important. I don't know if that would be good or bad. Shido, thanks for gifting us sub in the chat. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I think that ultimately what we're talking about is making sure that the rotations feel more intuitive so that people don't feel lost before they even start doing the damn content. You know, which I feel like I can do this. I can play the game. Then you can go from there, you know. I think, like for me, I have used Heckly, I'll admit. I didn't use it when it first came out, but I have used it because it helped me develop a muscle memory and helped me get a feel for what I'm actually supposed to do. Because I have the ADHD, I think that's a reason I learn better by doing. And I have a tendency to sort of get lost in the sauce of a fight. And that can be like a point of reference, like, hey, did you forget that you've got trinkets that you can use now? It's almost like, do you remember as a kid, if you ever went to a bowling alley where they put little inflatable bumpers on the gutters of the bowling alley? So it lets you just play when you might struggle to not get your ball in the gutter every time. Like, it just keeps things from going completely off the rails when you're trying to stay on track. Like, building that muscle memory helps you learn things that you need to know first, right? Like, okay, well, how do I roll the ball? What is the objective here? Like, okay, like, I need to learn that the ball goes that way before we can work on the gutter stuff, you know? it can like reduce the overload that you get. Because ideally you want the rotation to support you in your learning. Like you don't want it to have it take over your, you don't want to have Heckley rotation helper. You don't want Heckley to take over your life, is what I'm trying to say. But I think that them adding this is, I'm all for it. I really am all for it. In Fellowship, in Plus standalone game, they have you learn new abilities and talents as you progress through key levels. So you actually have a chance to see how your kit changes and is impacted. Oh wow, that's awesome. That's really smart. I love that. It's bad for the game when a new player has to look up guides for several hours before they know how to play. Absolutely true. Absolutely true and correct. It's just, you just want to play. Like, you want to install the game and have fun. And if you can lower that barrier to entry, especially for new people, then it's obviously better. Instead of forcing people to go like study. I don't want to study. I will learn as I go, you know. But I think I have to have a good time first before I start getting into the sauce and the reading and the study and all that stuff. I think some people have immediately said that it's almost like XAV Sloth combo. Like the one button mode. So if you don't know, in FF14 there are illegal add-ons. One of them is XAV combo, which is not a big deal. It just kind of simplifies buttons that are meant to be pressed one after another. Like, it'll put 3 buttons that are meant to be pressed 1, 2, 3 into 1 button. And honestly, I'm not gonna lose sleep about this. I don't really give a shit. But, there's the other one. XAV Sloth combo, which puts your entire rotation into 1 button. So you don't have to make any decisions anymore. But they also have over there the boss mod add-on, which is literally botting. Like, it dodges stuff for you, it does movement for you, it does your entire rotation, it does everything. You don't have to do shit. It's botting. It's botting. And people really, I was talking about it one day on stream, and people really had the audacity to tell me that boss mod in 14 is the same as DBM. And wow. I will never forget this. For as long as I live, I will never forget someone saying this in total sincerity in my chat. It's insane. Like, guys, is driving a car the same as being a passenger in a self-driving car? Hey, is cooking a meal the same as watching Gordon Ramsay on TV? Am I Gordon Ramsay? It's I listened to Spotify this morning. Am I Lady Gaga? No. I'm never gonna forget it. It was a one guy thing, but it's still like, okay, I used oh my god. What exactly is the FF14 plugin? So there's a lot of different ones. There's one that there's boss mod, which does everything for you. It just automates your character. Like, it will move your character for you. It will dodge mechanics for you. It will do your entire rotation. It does everything. Now, XAV Sloth combo, it's just puts your entire rotation on 1 button. So all you have to do is press 1 button. With no penalty, obviously. And then there's also auto duty, which will queue you into dungeons. So you could set up a chain of these. You could set up boss mod plus auto duty, and you could have the game completely play itself. Like, queue for stuff, run it, and you're at work. Like, you don't have to be there. It's bad. It's a really bad situation. It's sort of this lawless state that we have over there, and I don't like it because I love add-ons. There's a lot of really helpful add-ons. There's accessibility add-ons. And, I don't know. But the reason I bring it up is because Blizzard with its... First of all, I wanted to point out the one button mode that they're going to add is not at all comparable to XAV Sloth combo because it has a penalty, so it's not ideal to use. It's not good. It's not going to be as good. It's worse because it has a penalty, which is very, very important, so that is an accessibility tool for people who need it, but it's regulated so that we don't destroy player agency in the process. That's a great thing about how add-ons are allowed in this game, is it allows the developer to like add things people want without letting the situation spiral out of control, like it has kind of in FF14. That's the reason I brought up. That seems like just botting though. In the world of FF14, it's like all the same category, because with the way that they'll handle it, it's either everything allowed or nothing allowed. Like probably one day they'll just say they bring down the ban hammer and ban it all. 1 second. Up. Nothing is allowed, so none of that should be going on, but they just don't do anything about it. Blizzard banning DBM. Not exactly. Not exactly. They are saying that they want to incorporate the features people use DBM for natively so that you won't need it anymore. And actually my first reaction to this was, you know, again, coming from FF14, having that FF14 perspective, is that it seems like them learning from something FF14 does really well, that I've always loved about FF14 and still do, is that it teaches you to watch the boss and not your UI. You know, like it teaches you to listen to the audio cues, and musical transitions are really big. Like listening for the splashy water sounds in Leviathan will tell you which direction the snake is going to come out of. And I've noticed that WoW started syncing up the music more lately, like in Undermine. With the phase changes, they started having that synchronization of phase and music better, and I thought that was... It reminded me of a little bit of 14 in good ways. You know, 14 has really strong visual cues. It's got like... sort of has its own language of mechanics. You know, like the eyeball for looking away. You got flare marker, you got stack markers, you got prey, you've got flare. Like all these things are things that people will come to recognize after. Actually, I think I have a list. Yes. Here's a pic. So we have in FF14, this is something that's really great about that game. There's a lot of things, and this is something that we started to see. You know, they made the more clear circles of things to stand out of in WoW, and I think that they're going to move towards also building that language, the mechanics language. You know, this is a stack, it's a double stack. We got you know, the little triangle stack means everybody has to stand together usually. Look away. This is fabulous because this means you don't need DBM. Okay, it's a gigantic glowing red eyeball that tells you don't look at it. You know, it means look away. That's great. The chains, tethers, yeah, there's tons of stuff like this that is it's more fun. It's more fun to look at that and make an adjustment based on what you see and what the other player sees, instead of just listening to a dumb call out from a bot that's going to sound the same every time. You know, actually, even in WoW, I think they do use the voice lines as cues sometimes. Like with Gallywix, there's the I think they always do that. I think they have always done that though. Yeah, WoW has been using the voice. I really love the voice line in Gallywix though. The get up and dance for me, you little jerks. That's right. makes me laugh every time. That's a good one. I do think it's overall healthy for the game that WoW is moving away from the state of affairs where it's just listening to your add-on callout. Because it really, I think it makes every fight feel samey. It's like, line on you. Look away. Interrupt. You know, I love these tools, don't get me wrong. I use them heavily, but reflecting on my time with FF14 raiding there, I realized just how much the fights feel different and unique because the different attention that I give to the mechanics and the things that, like the boss turning colors and shaking his butt left. Like robot doing jazz hands, clapping his right cheek, you know. It lets you internalize the experience better instead of just reacting to callouts every single time from an add-on. Like, at least that's how it used to be. Nowadays, people use the add-ons in 14 too. So, back in my day, it wasn't that popular. It wasn't that common. Yeah. So I guess I have sort of a love-hate relationship with add-ons. I love them more than I hate them. That's for sure. I have so many, you know, add-ons in WoW have been great. You know, they're convenient, they're helpful, but they can have this side effect of flattening the experience a bit, which is kind of lame. But that's what Ian was talking about in this interview. So I'm happy that they have their mind on this, thinking how can they make the game more immersive again, make the fights not feel like it's just following the instructions that you hear. And reacting more in the moment to solve problem. That's what WoW's strength has typically been. But I feel like as a dev, as a battle dev, and I feel like this too with 14, how much it must suck to design a super cool boss that has the special colors and dance moves, and you're like, okay, so for this boss, the timing is gonna matter, and they'll have 5 or 10 seconds to figure it out, and then some add-on is like, go left. Just ruined all the cool work that you did and all the creativity that you poured into it. At the end of the day, it just ends up being go left. That sucks. It's not fun for them as designers, right? Ian, in the interview, it's a great interview. He said that they do get, you know, it constrains the design space. They get pigeonholed into doing a lot of the swirly mechanics because that's what add-ons cannot help you with. In WoW, add-ons can't dodge swirlies for you, so there's a butt ton of swirlies now. So I do think this is I think it's a page from FF14's book that I'm glad to see them take. It's positive. It's really like clear visual storytelling. FF14's always been great about learning to read the boss, language, building your language. But they have a lot of building to do, you know, to make it. It's also great because it's like the more you play, the more you recognize those telegraphs, those symbols, and those markers. And so you feel good, you feel better the more you play. It rewards you. I play entirely without add-ons since Dragonflight. I've had no issues. Giga Chan. I don't have this kind of discipline. I'm an add-on addict. I'm the type of person that will browse for add-ons when I don't even need one. I'm just curious, what's new? Like, I'll go, WoW interface, like, what y'all got over here? Anything different that I don't know and that I need? I'm an enthusiast for them, but I can also acknowledge how much they can be a problem for the encounter design and like ways that some things might be better baked into the game itself. I don't know. I do think that they've already taken some good ideas from 14, like the edit mode. That really felt like FF14 inspired. So does player housing. You know, that's another big one. I think in the converse, FF14 also has added stuff to their game that was actually add-on inspired. Even though add-ons are not allowed, they did add, you know, collection check marks. They've added buff timers on the party frames, but it's just, unfortunately, Unlike Blizzard, Square Enix does not have the power to make the malicious add-ons obsolete. Unless they want to blanket ban everything, which obviously they don't. That would suck. It's just that they're in a real pickle. Especially now. They've got the privacy tool debacle. There's the stalking database is being made because the account IDs are public and somebody made stalking add-ons. It's bad. It's situation spiraling hard. That's what happens when you have this, you know, add-ons are illegal, but we don't touch it. And so we got crazy, out-of-control tools going kind of just unchecked, and they can only really do the surface level improvements, and they're kind of slow about it because they can't lock down their API like Blizzard can. Yeah. I mean, actually, in FF14, add-ons will let you play with less latency than you would without the add-on, because they fix a bug. Like, there's a latency bug. A bug that an add-on fixes. That you need to fix the bug. You know, so, I mean, built-in fixes might be a good place to start for 14. It's not a bug if it works good in JB. That's true. That might be a good place to start, you know, in terms of fixing things. But yeah, I mean, Blizzard, I feel like this is kind of a long overdue reckoning for WoW, and they're starting to see that. Like, maybe let's manage this ecosystem before it spirals into total chaos. Like, they've known for ages that add-ons have had this negative impact on the encounter design and constrain the design space, like Ian said. And they finally were acknowledging that if they don't step in, game's just gonna be, you know, every single fight, go left, interrupt, you know, fest. So I think it's good that they have the ability to bring some of this in-house. I think they got spooked during 11.0 RWF when it was broadcast that guilds in the chase had coders on staff to build custom Ikaras. Oh yeah, that's a really good point. That's a really good point. Because in the interview, Max said that it's like they're not progging a boss, they're progging a Ikara. And that's really sad. You know, that's something no developer wants to hear. It sucks for the player, it sucks for the developer, and it's just, how did we get here? You know, that's the question. We gotta turn this shit around. Yeah, it's horrible. I think that, these are big changes, but they're absolutely necessary, and I also think the core of my view about it, especially, you know, the rotation assist, the one button mode and all that, I think that if you're not gonna learn unless you're having fun. If you're having fun, then you can learn. That's why in a rating scenario, like if we're ever trying to teach people mechanics, one thing I will not compromise on in a raid group that I am part of or that I lead is that it must have a good, friendly, fun atmosphere, because otherwise people won't learn. If people feel pressure, they feel like constrained, they're not having a good time, then they're not gonna learn. That's a fact. And this philosophy kind of applies to learning your rotation as well. Like if you feel like it's a struggle and it's confusing and it's complicated and you have to study and it's effort, it's hard, you're not gonna learn. You know, I think you learn by getting your foot in the door, getting your hand on the keyboard, having fun, and then I think that's how you naturally get someone's curiosity to bubble up. You know, I'm imagining a scenario where somebody who's never played WoW before is completely overwhelmed by everything they see, has access to a one button mode. They use it, and every once in a while something really sick happens. Like they cast gigantic meteor from the sky, and it makes them care about their class. They like how it feels. They like how those buttons, spells look. You know, it makes them feel like good about it. Then, whenever they're ready to not have a damage handicap from the GC penalty, then they might feel like, oh, well, this is something I'm invested in already. This is something I love. This is a vibe I like. And I'm happy to learn more about it because I already feel like I kind of know. You know, they feel the familiarity. They feel safe to learn. And that's how people will naturally grow. I think this is the right path, even if you're a person that like super values mastery over skill expression and everything. This is a more healthy path to get more people down that road that you like so much. I really believe it. It's not going to be pressure, anxiety, get good, and then they quit. Okay, that's not going to lead anybody anywhere. It's not going to do anything. They get more people to quit. Yeah, if it ain't fun, you're doing it wrong. If you just got here, what is one button mode? So, one button mode is a new thing that they are adding in 11.1.7 with rotation assist. So have you heard of Heckly? Heckly recommends the next button for you to use. That would be best if you were fighting a target dummy. Like, just a suggestion. Next button to press. And then they're also adding, so they're adding that natively into the game. And then they're also adding one button mode, which just is a single key press that will do the next recommended spell. But the one button mode has a big GCD penalty. I've heard it's actually pretty significant. I heard it's like a 20% loss. So it's not going to be viable in any kinds of serious content. But it's good if you, first of all, if you're a person who doesn't care about learning, or if you are overwhelmed and you just want to get started, then it's there for you. So it's a good accessibility option. It's good onboard. Yeah, it's 0.2 seconds. Yeah, I've heard it's pretty big. It's going to be pretty significant. But I also think, do you think people are going to try to push the limit? Do you think people are going to try to see what they can get away with? See how much we can really do. You can bet on it. You can bet people will be trying so hard with this penalty. There will 100% be streamers who run full one button raids. Can't wait for raid leads to start asking underperforming players to start using a single button instead. That's what I thought. I had the same thought. Yeah. That's something that I'm bringing up in my video tonight. They're gonna have to nerf Raid Finder HP by 20%. I bet that people will math out, like, how many people can you have in the group that have the one button mode? And actually, I was talking to my friend about this. Havern, it's here. And the point came up of, can you change it on the fly, like in combat? Because I can absolutely envision scenarios where it would be beneficial to turn it on, like in a heavy movement phase, where it's very difficult to press the next button, and then turn it off once you're moved. So, I mean, it's gonna be curious what kind of other restrictions they put on this thing. It's just a button you put on your bars. Oh, so you can just press it anytime? Oh, that's gonna be... Then you could absolutely use it for that case. You could totally use it to run around for movement. Yes, you could. You can switch between using it and not using it by pressing it and not pressing it. In that case, there's a massive GCD penalty though, so it won't be optimal. It would still be better than running there not pressing anything, though. If you're just... I don't know. I guess it's fine. I guess it's fine. It's like a panic button. I don't know what to do right now. I might use it for that. Yeah. It's a parse killer. It's not as big of a parse killer as losing uptime, though. I mean, you are losing some with the GCD penalty, but it's better than not casting anything. Like, if it's a choice between pressing that, or you don't cast anything because you're overwhelmed, then it's there. That's not that bad. Yes. It's for getting your little brother to farm mats for you. I think I'll probably have it there for that case that you just described. I'm panicking. I'm panicking. I don't know what to do. That's not good. That's not good. Better to just reflect. Why did I panic? What could I have pressed in that case instead? Man, it is warm in here. We'll use one button for my alts. Yeah, that's another thing. You know, there's so many, especially now with warbands. This is something that Ian brought up in the, turn on the AC in here. I bet it's 80 degrees. I cannot wait to leave Florida. But anyway, yeah, Ian brought up the fact that more and more people are playing alts, and it's just not reasonable to expect every person to know and remember how to play every single alt, every single spec. Now we have the hero talents on top of that, and from what I understand, the hero talents are not going away. They're going to expand on that in the future, which is good, but it means that the complexity is going to remain. You know, the variety and complexity is going to remain, and it's just crazy to expect you to remember all these things forever. You know, there's plenty of specs that I did spend time learning, but then, you know, 6 months passes or a year passes, and I go back and of course I don't remember shit. And it might even be changed a lot since that time. And it's just, yeah. Sometimes you're just trying to do something more chill. It's not going to require a lot of you. On and alt. See what it's like. Get a feel for it. I'll look at the rotation helper for new alts, but I don't think I'd ever use the one button macro. Yeah, honestly, I probably won't use the one button thing. But rotation helper can help you remember when cooldowns are up if you're not using a weak aura. That will do that for you. Or if you're struggling to read the weak aura, it can be there like, hey, your trinket's about to be up, or that cooldown's about to be up. That can be useful, even if you know your rotation. That can be something that's easy to forget in combat. Yeah, but now they've added the cooldown manager. Actually, haven't checked it out yet. I've been so deep into Oblivion. I didn't see the new manager. I should look at it. The one button thing will leave out very valuable things intentionally, I think. Stuff like upkeep on dots for stuff to learn. Can't rely on it, but can learn from it. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one thing I love about World of Warcraft is how much there is to learn about your class besides just your rotation, too. Like, that's a whole other dimensionality to it. Not to imply that the one button rotation is going to teach you rotation, but there's so much beyond that that's not even shown or hinted at, you know, like your utility tools, your defensives, your CC. I love how much every single class has that, and because I think it adds so much to the class identity and like differentiation between different specs and classes. It's a really, really fun thing about WoW, and it's also something that I think makes PvP really fun. But actually, PvP is a great setting to be aware of all that stuff. But that's maybe people will become more interested in those other tools if they're using a one button mode and be like, well, what's this other button that I have really, it ties back to my general worldview, which is I think if someone's having fun and they feel not stressed and they don't feel pressure, then they'll be curious naturally. If they're so inclined to be that way. I mean, you have to admit, there's a lot of people that just don't care at all to learn about their class. They're playing the game for other reasons, and that's fine. I think it's fine. The only thing that I would say is I hope players can just be mindful of the expectations of the team, of the group, and the content that they're in, the setting that they're in. That's probably one of my biggest concerns right now, is how people are going to treat each other in social settings with it. You know, people have been making macros for years and one-shot buttons, so I don't see the drama. I understand the usefulness of it for accessibility or people with disabilities, but I don't know. One step closer to how gacha auto battlers work. I mean, I think because of the penalty, it's okay. I don't have an issue with it because of that. Getting more people in the door, ultimately, I think is for the best. Because it's like, the more people that can come into the house, the more people will go explore the other rooms. Does that make sense? Some people won't. They'll always just use one button and they don't care. But I think naturally, certain people will, having felt welcome and having felt like they can handle it, like they can play, they'll wander, they'll become curious, they'll grow. And so ultimately, I think it's for the best. I think it's good. I'm sure there will be an option in method raid tools to flag player. Oh, I bet! You know it, dude. That's something that's super concerning. That's super concerning. Auto rotation things sounds like it'll bring the skill of bad players up. And I feel like that's better for everyone since the average DPS might be higher. I think that's also going to occur. Yes. Actually, the average DPS should be higher. Like, LFR might be easier. People often joke that LFR is the most difficult version of the raid. But it might not be. If everybody's doing a way more damage. Even with the penalty. Yeah. I think that's possible. If people remain negative about this and don't see why it's actually being added, it'll go unupdated. Oh, I think it's gonna be super popular because, I mean, it seems like their guiding principle right now is looking at the most popular add-ons and adding that. You know, like Ian in the interview, he said the most popular add-on is damage meter, and so they're gonna add it. Not soon. You know, it's gonna take time, but they said if they want to restrict the visibility of combat event data to the add-ons, they will also need to add a native damage meter, which is a whole can of worms. I think it's great, personally. I'm all for that. But, my god. Actually, you know what I just realized? Maybe it won't be as scary. Okay. Maybe it won't be as scary to have a native damage meter if players have access to a one-button mode that gives them decent enough damage. So they won't be as embarrassed. Does that cope? Does that cope? God. I know there's a lot of people that just won't want that information out in public and stuff. Okay, baby. Okay, baby. One button. Problem is, one button doesn't work for LFR healers. Oh, dude, do you think that Do you think that we're gonna end up getting a bunch of healers who don't understand that the one button is not for healing? Like, won't help with healing, but they don't understand this. And you're just not getting healed. I mean, that's one way to help people learn where their defensives are and their self-heals are. Right? I have a feeling it might divide the player base hard. I'm curious about that. Do you see a future where once it's normalized, say 2, 3, 4 years down the line, players complaining about being penalized and the potential for it to be removed? Oh, that's a good question. Yes. I think that's a really valid concern. Because I think like once it becomes normalized, then players will want to push beyond the restrictions that had been in place in the beginning. That's a very good point, I think. Because right now, you know, it's like, oh, this is okay. It's almost like you could be moving the goalpost in a sense. And you're depending on Blizzard to hold the line in terms of protecting the game's integrity long term and always treating it as an accessibility tool. But then the question becomes, well, what happens when a day comes when this becomes really normalized? And then that leads into a whole discussion about where we headed with the future of gaming. What kind of games are popular now? That's scary. It's scary to think about. We need Blizzard to keep the penalty, for sure. So that, so we can have both. I think that we need both. Both should and do coexist, meaning like accessibility and the road to mastery. Both of those things, in my view, go together well, but they both need to be protected. And, you know, in a few years, there's definitely gonna be people like arguing that they want it to be more competitive. Yeah. I don't see it being a problem in 2025, but I could potentially see it being a problem in a couple expansions. I think that's reasonable. It's a reasonable concern, and it's one I hope that they have in their heart too. Yeah. Won't one button actually make players worse as they rely on it? People tend to take a path of least resistance. I mean, it's true that people do tend to do that. They do what's convenient. But it really comes down to the penalty. You know, the penalty is going to keep it from being like a great way to play. And yeah. If you want to actually do the content where that's going to matter, you can't do it. You can't rely on it. So I don't think it's going to make people worse. I think what it's going to do is let people play the game at their level. At their desired level and in their desired way. The way they want to. There's a lot of stuff in the game that just doesn't really ask you to know what you're doing in terms of rotation. It doesn't need that. You'll be fine with it, you know. I still really feel like giving people this better on-ramp to just participating in the game, playing their character. The people who, really we're talking about people that just would not play WoW. Otherwise. It's too intimidating. They would quit fast. It'll make them feel like, oh, I can handle this. I think I have a lot of faith in people. Maybe it's because I come from a teaching background, and I strongly believe that having fun is the secret ingredient to someone having curiosity and wanting to grow and learn. But I think this is something that will naturally bubble up. Not for everybody, but that's okay. That's fine. If it's not for everyone, it's fine if not everybody wants that. But I think enough people will, that it will be a net positive. Net positive. Yeah. Good for early beginner and people with disabilities that can't play full on. I think people who want to max DPS hard will not use it. I mean, a lot of people just don't, like, they don't start playing with the idea, I want a max CPS. You know, that's not how the beginning of many people's journey looks like. That comes later after they give a shit. So it's like stepping stones. You know, I wouldn't want it to be the only stone, but it's a game big. WoW has an aging player base. The one button is just them getting ahead of things before we all get shaky hands. What? You can't play games like this worrying about it if everyone else is trying really hard. Because the more aren't and won't. That's true. Not everyone wants to sweat. That is true. There's a lot of people that just want to log in and play and like enjoy, like vibe, enjoy the world, and they don't care about their parse. They don't care about like. What's funny is that a lot of it could even be the same person on different days. You know, I feel like I'm the kind of person where I have two modes. I have chill mode, where I'm vibing, and then I have hyper focus mode, where I sweat over things. Like, I take it very, very fucking serious. And I'm like optimizing and like really but usually I have to have the ability to sink time into that. I need to have the time and energy to do that. And I don't always these days. But what I'm saying is that it's not always different people that have those different needs on different days. You know, maybe one day you just want to vibe. You might have moods about it. You know, I think it's easy to imagine like your preferred way of play as being the best way to play all the time, but WoW it's so diverse. There's so many different things to do. And as an MMO, it does best whenever it accommodates as many different kinds of people as possible on as many different layers of engagement as possible. So if you you can't just only design around people that want to sweat. Especially now, when they're adding so much stuff for chill things. Like, we got player housing coming up. You know, player housing is also going to have social features, from what I understand. It's going to have the neighborhood activities. We're going to have collecting chairs. There's people that only do that. There will be people that only do that. They come to the game for that. And don't care at all about doing good damage. Because for them, it won't even be relevant to the reason they sub. You know? All the WoW stoners definitely. That's funny. I've been playing WoW for 17 years now. For me, I like it because it makes classes I haven't tried yet. Shaman, Mage, and Warlock less intimidating to try out. Once I get used to it, disable it, and off I go. Exactly. Yeah, that's what I think is going to be great about it. For many people. LFR players will actually get to see the fight finish before forced tags. Finish. Yeah, earlier somebody was saying that they're gonna have to buff the LFR bosses by like HP. For many people, the player housing will be RP heaven, and the one button rotation thing might help them get the things they want for their house and their RP fantasies. Oh yeah, that's true. Because a lot of that stuff is going to come from, not a lot of it, but a bunch of it should come from dungeons, raids, and stuff like that. And so it's like, might help them feel like they can handle it. Handle going into combat, like in the group scenario, getting the housing items, or gathering, like, apparently the professions are going to be involved. Are we going to have material drops from bosses that you need to craft a specific furniture like you have in Final Fantasy XIV? You know, if you're just a crafter or housing player, that's gonna be scary as hell. if you're like the combat, what you're saying is the combat might just be a means to an end for some people, and it's just like an in-between step before their big goal, which is, you know, fashion, chairs. So I think it's cool. I can't wait for an add-on to be made that just blocks anyone from trying to join when they use the one button rotation helper. Oh my god, you know that they're already gonna be working on that, dude. Someone, like, this is gonna come out so fast. If it's possible, it'll filter out. It will filter people out. It'll, like, flag a player somehow. I'm sure people will figure out how to do it. I don't know if Blizzard would even be able to build a countermeasure for, like, they will have to. They can't let that go on. They cannot let that go on.